what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by A Plain Truth, Ranty Flat Earth, Mark Doxy, James, or Jimbo, Goldemo, Arwin, and Alan. How are you all doing?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Is this
Good afternoon.
working?
What, oh Jeeves? Hey Nathan, happy 300 episode.
It is. This is number 300.
We need a name for it.
It's 300 live.
300.
Till we discuss something, and then we'll come up with the title.
300 Globlings on a spike.
The 300 was a great movie.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. We are standing up against the world army of Globers.
The Spartan army. Flat Earth Spartans.
Don't let them get through the pass.
This is Sparta. Nice one. I like that.
Yeah, my basic thing is, again, I try to debunk some of the math and stuff. Like, you've done a real good job with the, the R calculators and asking for proof of R. But now, gravity, it's another one of their big toys. And, like I say, if you simply ask the question, why is an object falling, like a microphone out of someone's hands? Well, if you ask the question and resolve where the potential energy came from, then gravity's got an issue. Because a body at rest stays at rest till a force acts upon it. Now, sticking a bowling ball and a feather to a beam on a ceiling is a force acting upon a body.
I was going to ask about
that it falls if you let it go. So, gravity, just ask, why is a body falling? Forget it's the same as using the absolute value in angular calculations for R and cheating that way. If you don't look at why an object is falling, what the hell got it there, then you're cheating as bad with the math and just deceiving and lying like any other schmaz out there.
Well, I'd have to disagree with you. I'd have to disagree with you, James.
Because you're a gravity person, you still believe in gravity.
No, the issue is not gravity. The issue is the causal relationship that ballers have assumed that gravity or downward acceleration force has, which is unproven.
Yeah, someone's
downward acceleration force.
Yeah, I think you got a sniper or something there.
We're on it.
Downward acceleration force is not caused by masses attracted by other masses. We do not know what causes downward acceleration force. We just
How about someone lifting up an object and dropping it because of...
Okay, somebody, the troll is muting me. Really
how about a body at rest stays at rest till the force acts upon it, and then it's a release of potential energy. Case closed.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Why all the magic?
I was gonna ask about that because I maybe I don't understand it correctly, but I thought there were two forces involved when you're talking about potential energy. Like, you're right, the energy that gets you to that point, but then the energy that's going to be in effect once whatever happens. Something like a rubber band, I know, is another form of potential energy. And so there's the force that pulls it apart.
As soon as fingers release a microphone, the potential is no longer potential, it's kinetic, it's falling, it's releasing.
Yeah, but what is the force that is causing it to fall? Because if there's a force that causes things to move, then what causes it to fall downward? Is it being carried down by somebody?
The volumic mass of air is less. It's a super fluid. It's not going to support the microphone, period, or the bowling balls or anything.
Yeah, but if we use force to move an object into a vertical direction upwards, then if we let it go, who is moving that object downward?
It's just releasing its energy. If you didn't hold it up and drop it in the first place, it would be happy to stay on the ground, on a table, on a shelf, until a force acts upon it. You're trying to make magic where none exists, like Coriolis and like other. Like, what doesn't make sense? That your hand releases the microphone and it drops
if you would go into
energy.
An airplane and dove with it straight down until you basically countered the downward acceleration force effect, then objects will stay in their place as if floating in midair.
They're not. They're falling at the same speed as the downward decline of the airplane. It's not free fall. It is fall, but falling with the craft that you're in. It's not free fall. Those zero-G planes, it's not zero-G. It's free fall. Within a can. It's not free fall.
I agree with that.
But like I say, gravity asks where the potential energy came from for the object, and you're no longer playing, the one-eyed king following or leading the blind. Science is about questioning. Why would you start with an object in mid-space with no explanation for it, 0 miles an hour, and then calculate its acceleration down at 32 feet per second squared and say, oh, that's gravity, which is what you're asking. It's like Puff the Magic Dragon is in midair, can't flap his wings at some point, and then falls down, and we're calculating Puff the Magic Dragon falling down to the ground.
Without R, we don't have a globe. And without globe, we don't have gravity. Right, Nathan?
Yeah, it's getting trollicious here because the subject matter is valid and stuff. Like I say, all I can say is that you release potential energy, and it's all about that. If it's like, using the absolute value in R, creating a force where there really is none, which is G, another force that no one can see, no one can touch. It can work laterally with huge balls in a shed after 4 months and looking through a crack or something. Apparently we can reproduce it and have in all these videos and bullshit. Like I say, I try to give an example, a 10-ton wrecking ball with an iron ball beside it, a few ounces. Why doesn't gravity act upon that from the mass of that big steel ball on that little one pretty pronto?
Gravity is irrelevant. We don't have radius. We don't have a globe, so we don't have gravity.
Hello, right, guys. I'm back. Thanks for taking my call, Nathan. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I would say, if you don't have radius, you don't have gravity. Right.
Gravity is monkey business. Like I say, if you can't see that a hand holding a microphone and dropping it is releasing the potential energy, and that, the human hand is involved
what is causing that potential energy?
Well, I don't know where to go with this. Because, I won't chase that gravity rabbit down the hole no more than the angular math being a fraud.
I think that's an interesting...
Got to move on. Or this is actual.
Where is the potential energy coming from then?
Picking it up, Arwin. Picking it up. You insert potential energy into it by using your energy to pick it up. Or move it up a hill if it's a rock.
Right, so if you keep on moving things upwards, it's gonna heat up, right? Because it's storing more and more and more energy. That's it?
I don't know about heat up.
If energy gathers, like...
Well, where are you getting heat
really
from?
Fast and it gathers energy. It gathers heat, right? I don't think so. There's a downward acceleration constant present here on this Earth. We do not know the cause of it. It's definitely not matter being attracted by other matter, but it's there.
How do you count for it,
You have to physically apply energy in a direction to displace objects. But if you then let them go, if you let them move freely, then the downward acceleration force will take hold and cause the downward motion. That's what it does. Because the
Releasing
object
an
is
object
heavier
from
than
your
its
hand
surrounding.
causes
It's
a
more
downward
dense.
motion.
It will move it downward.
Oh, and you're rumpusing everyone on the panel today, right? You've paused, so he can only assume you finished, and then as soon as he starts talking, you just repeat the same thing again over the top of him. It's really unfair.
I didn't pause.
Just don't rumpus people. It's a bit
I didn't
unreasonable.
pause.
I actually was just thinking about it again. That's because you said that, because I was thinking about the rubber band again and just trying to imagine it the same way, thinking about it incorrectly, but it seems like you pushing it up the hill would take the force. I mean, would take an amount of force because there would be something that would be at the same time pulling it down, and only while it's resting up there is an potential energy.
There is
But
an experiment. It's a slinky, and even attach a tennis ball to the bottom. They extend the slinky and hold it above the ground, and when they release it, well, at the bottom, it doesn't move a millimeter until the top part gets to a certain point. There's zero downward movement even after the extended slinky with the weight on the bottom. At the very bottom, there's no movement. I don't know if you ever saw the slinky experiment.
Doesn't that just show that there is gravity?
No.
No, it shows the opposite, because when you release the slinky, if there was gravity, you would expect that mass to be pulled towards the Earth, and instead the energy is dissipated very differently, with the slinky heading towards the bottom of its own mass, then going down.
I missed that, Nathan. The other guy was talking. When people talk in the Hangout, I can't hear you. Could you repeat it, please?
Happens a lot. So the slinky, gravity isn't affirming the consequent. So you're saying, if bodies of mass attract one another, if gravity is real, then bodies of mass will attract one another. Bodies of mass attract one another, i.e. there's a downward force, therefore gravity. It's just an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. That's all it is. You invent the force first and then affirm that it's real.
Well, what force would you invent then?
No.
There is no force. There's potential energy. That's what he's just explained. That's what Jimbo's just explained. There's potential energy.
No, you're mixing it up. The
It
causal
always acts in a downward
relationship,
motion.
what causes this is the assumption. That is unproven. But the force is measured. It is there. Can
Well,
be
if
deduced.
you throw the microphone sideways, it'll hit a wall and break. Downward
go
force,
down.
you know.
It only drops down.
Yeah.
Things don't drop up
Release
or
the energy that way.
sideways. They only drop down. No matter where
Hey,
you
is
move
that you?
objects.
Pete, hello?
Dodo in the house.
Hey, Pete.
No, if it was me, just said hello straight away.
Somebody
If you're
showed me
going to
that
move
slinky
an
video.
object horizontally into one direction and you let it go, it's not going to fall back. It's always going to fall down.
I think
downward
that's a
acceleration
reasonable
force.
request to see the slinky video.
I remember somebody showed it to me, and I thought it was compelling when I saw it the first time. But then somebody had brought up the fact that it has a rubber band. It has the I forget what it's called, the spring, whatever the spring is in it that is acting in the opposite direction. It's kind of complicated.
Equally towards the center of the Earth on all parts of it.
You get a couple of people from the live audience to join just as placeholders, just so I don't have to mute the hangout when we get a troll joining. Just do with 2 more people joining, because otherwise I'm just battling the trolls and it's just going to be noisy for the next 20 minutes until 2 people do join. So please join if you can. You don't have to talk necessarily. Yeah, just battle this troll.
And yes. But yeah, the spring. You, with the tennis.
Yeah, nobody's willing to join. So this is going to be a very disjointed show for the next 10 minutes probably.
The instant that the spring at the top is released, it gravity below. See, it's the spring countering it.
The Persians are coming, Nathan. They're muting everyone.
Yeah, it's me. There's somebody joining and playing loud noises, so every time they join I've got to shut the hangout up, which means that we can't hear anything from the hangout, which is really annoying. But I just need one more person, I think. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we need one more person to join. Till then, it's just troll, troll, troll. Any other time, Arwin, you'd be full of words. As soon as there's a bit of dead air because the channel's being raided, you go quiet. Wonderful.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, but yeah, I think I pretty much should explain what I explained, and that is that there is a downward acceleration force that I lovingly like to call gravity because it's shorter. And I simply emphasize that there is no proof for a causal relationship within this assumed force. And this force is definitely present, and you can counter it with a 0G plane, as they like to call it. And that proves that in the 0G scenario, buoyancy and density do not apply normally, and things just free float. They do not divide by density because the downward acceleration force is countered by the motion. And that is how you prove that there is a downward acceleration force present at all time on this Earth. And then, yeah, the Globers just love to blow up that G and turn it into a big one, assuming that they have found the cause. What causes it? And that it is because of the giant mass of the Earth attracting all the other material. And that is just complete nonsense. It's unproven. So I will never give into the concept of gravitational pull. I still have to see a demonstration of how that is proven. And I don't think it's gonna be there anytime soon. Because, yeah, balls in the shed, you know, that's just not gonna cut it. But there definitely is a downward acceleration force. And it is downward. It's not sideways. It's not any direction but down. And
Yeah,
if
I'm
you
sorry,
pick
Alan,
up
in
an
the
object
Hangout.
and move it horizontally, it's not gonna, when you let it go, move back from where you came. You know, it's gonna move down. That's just my argument in this, so hope that I filled your time now.
Yeah, I need a couple of people from the chat to join, but no one seems willing. So just got constant trolling till somebody actually joins to fill the gap.
So he's our space holder.
Who's our space holder? Oh, I can't even get a reply to you before a troll joins.
They're really fast today.
Yeah, we've got 9 people on the Hangout. We just need one more, and then the Hangout's full.
Maybe I can get somebody from Skype to get in.
Hello, is that a real guest?
I believe so, yeah.
I'll keep them out.
Excellent, thank you, thank you. Alright, normal conversation can resume.
Finally.
Well, I thought that was an interesting point that James brought up that I never thought about in terms of the lateral effect of gravity on the Cavendish experiment. You know, you have James brought up that I never thought about in terms of the lateral on the Cavendish.
New guests, can you just mute or either mute your Hangout or mute the watch page? Thanks.
I've done it now. I've done it now.
I'll try again, plain truth.
Yeah, I just never thought about it from that perspective in terms of the lateral effect of gravity versus the vertical. The vertical is immediate. You have an immediate pull, but we seem to have to wait for 4 months before the lateral effect seems to matter at all. That was just an interesting way that James put it. I appreciated that.
A lateral effect? What lateral effect?
Yeah, he was just talking about if you're in the Cavendish experiment, you're testing the effect of mass to mass in a correspondent position with two balls next to each other, so they're lateral. They're next to each other. And what he was saying is that you don't have an immediate gravitational pull between those two objects, as if you were to drop them at the same time, you would have gravity immediately show itself. But you hang them next
Yes.
to each other, and you got to wait for 6 months until you see something minute.
Yeah, because the downward acceleration force is pulling it while simultaneously the supposed pull from the masses on each other is much smaller, so it will take a lot longer. The angle is slightly changed according to the gravitational pull concept, but yeah, I don't believe it. I think it's a faulty setup.
Thanks to the
I was
Limitless
going to
channel.
ask. Sorry. Well, I was going to ask about the figure 8 that someone had brought up earlier.
Oh, yeah.
I guess in reference. What were you referring to?
I was referring to the what I believe is the sun itself, the sun that we would see as the solid object disappears, but the remnants of the light that reflects off the atmosphere is what we see setting. And I've seen it in many videos, and deep inside the rabbit holes video, I saw it in that. I've seen it in my own footage, and it appears that there comes a point where the sun starts to break apart into two discs and has this sort of 8 shape. Sometimes it doesn't go the full 8. Sometimes it's just like a small head on the top of the body of the sun. But that's what I think, that top part, the smaller part, the part that breaks away, is the real sun, and the light that we see at sunset is just the light reflecting off the atmosphere.
You're
Okay.
mental.
Hey, Ranty,
Yeah.
do you think if we used a theodolite when the sun was setting, we could measure the height of that refraction, that zone?
Probably not, because you wouldn't know where the real horizon is. That's the
Well, that's what the theodolite's for, to show you where the real horizon would be.
There is no real horizon. By nature, the horizon is only apparent. It's not something physical or real that you can measure to.
It's a vanishing point.
Yeah, but
Correct.
a theodolite is only for short distances anyway.
But it's the horizon's more or less a vanishing point. Is that right or wrong?
More or less. Well, so what? That's
Which is
not
it,
useful.
Is it more or less?
More or less isn't very accurate, though, is it?
That's all right. Gives
All
you an
right.
idea.
Well, let's just make a rough guesstimate, and hopefully it'll work with our maths when we presuppose R. Right? Is that what you're saying?
Nothing to do with R. No.
Of course it is.
Nothing. No, I was talking about flat Earth, vanishing point. There's no R on a flat Earth.
Yeah,
unless it's a circle. Is it a circle? I don't know.
I've no idea. Could be. Maybe.
Not many do.
No idea.
Not
Can
many
I
do.
ask
We're just
Ranty a
trying to work
question?
out what shape would work with all the observations we've got.
Shape? What do you mean shape?
Flat
What
would work.
What flat shape would work?
I don't know. It has
With
to.
the
Why does it have to have a shape? I don't get it.
Yeah, it's just take your observation from where you are and go from there. You don't need to worry about the parameters until you get there.
If we were to take a high altitude balloon and look down, what shape would it be if it was flat? With all the observations we had,
it would extend. All we've seen is the extension of the horizon. That's all we've ever seen. It extends and it extends and it extends. And if
forever.
you were to move,
Well, for all we know, we could be a pinhead on the size of a snooker table.
okay, so
we could be.
Yeah, but just deal with your proximity. Just deal with your neighbor, your city. You know.
Why? Why do I have to limit myself?
Because you don't know.
Yeah, so why do I have to limit myself? Why can't I explore?
Okay, so hypothesize and imagine what shape it might be.
Not hypothesize, explore, physically explore.
Okay.
I agree with you.
Sure. Okay, yeah. Well, basically, that's
Go
what I'm
ahead.
saying, though. What I'm saying is, unless you're going to explore and extend yourself to those horizons, you can't talk about that location until you get there. So, how about it?
Yeah, so the people that have done that, are they liars?
We don't know.
NASA.
You have to evaluate and go and see where they're at.
You mean
have
NASA?
to evaluate the information.
You mean NASA?
There's records of their ventures.
Sorry,
and
are you
explorations.
referring to NASA? Because none of us
No.
have been to space.
No.
Well,
Not-
what
not
then?
to NASA.
High altitude
To
balloons? What are you referring to? Because you can't go up and see the entirety.
Well, I was thinking more along the lines of explorers on the flat plain. You know,
So
people that have trekked
Admiral
across
Byrd.
the lands.
Right. Okay. So get Admiral Byrd's supposed journals, read them, and then evaluate whether or not you're going to be able to put that to the test. I mean,
So
what?
one admiral, is that what you're saying?
Well,
I have to
giving
believe
you
one admiral.
No. I didn't say you had to believe him straight away. I'm saying you're asking about records, and I'm just offering that up. Do you know of any other records that you could use that would evaluate something that pushes beyond the apparent limits of the oceans that surround our continents?
Shout out to Dank for the super chat. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, I had a question though about what you guys are saying about R. I guess you guys are talking about the radius of the Earth, because I had to I told you I wanted to try to measure the moon tomorrow along with the sun later on next month. And I had to look up several ways to measure it. I found like three different ways to do it. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if one is more valid than the other, but I had talked with a friend about this, and he suggested that even if you did more than one of these tests, because they're so different, if you came up with the same number, then you'd be able to use this number. It would seem like this number would prove itself valid. I'm not sure if you guys have seen these measurements for R.
Just tell us.
Well, there's one. The classic one is by this Pakistani guy. I think his name is Al-Biruni.
Al-Biruni, right?
And so yeah, he has to use an astrolabe and all this trigonometry, and so I thought about that way, but there's a couple simpler ways of doing it, and the one that seems actually, yeah, I think 2 days is the solstice, the summer solstice. But either way, you could basically do it on any day, and just take the shadows from 3 different places.
It's going to be sticks in the ground, isn't it? Sticks in the ground.
Sticks or buildings, as long as you know the height and the difference in distance from the shadows and distance from each other.
Scientific? Is this scientific?
I think so.
Really?
I was looking up to see how to do it exactly, but I wasn't sure, so that looked like a good way. I'd read something that said
So we're trying to ascertain radius, and you're saying that the observed phenomena is not radius, but the moon, correct?
No. The moon, that's separate. I needed the radius of the Earth to do the complete calculation, but the moon measurement, the supposed measurement, is just to get some more information about the moon and maybe the difference between the distance between it and the sun.
So talk us through it then. So start with the observed phenomena.
Okay.
What's the phenomena you're observing in this scientific proof of R?
Yeah, so we're going to be observing the moon, and I think the very first measurement to take would be
what I just literally said, and you disagreed with me and told me it was separate? So we are observing the moon. That's our observation.
Well,
so
no,
the phenomena is the moon. We're observing the phenomena of the moon.
Well, the complete phenomena would be the moon and the sun and their measurements and distances, but there's a lot of small data that you have to collect first to make this measurement, as far as I've seen. Radius of the Earth, and then one would be the size of the moon in relationship to its orbit, and
I just need an observed phenomena. So I've got a list of 5 things. What's your observed phenomena? I thought radius of Earth was what you were trying to ascertain here, and so far no mention of any of that. Just talk about the moon.
Well, I'll stick with that
sun.
one. I'll stick with just the radius of the Earth. Yeah, so I guess the observed phenomena would be the idea that the shadows at the same time during the day are going to be different for these different locations. And I'm guessing the variables would be the length of those shadows and how you would, or I'm sorry, it would be the distances between them. And the, I guess the other variable would be the amount of change per shadow.
So you
I have
only
calculations
have
on how
two
to do the
variables, an
equation,
independent variable.
but I got to read them over again.
That's your cause, your independent variable. So what's the thing that you're varying in this test to cause the effect of the sun and moon and shadows on the ground? That's not actually
Like I said,
observed.
that would be like the difference in distance between them, which if it were flat, it would be the same elevation and possibly the same direction from the sun. But if it were a globe, if it were concaving down,
You don't need to presuppose whether it's flat or globe. Your observed phenomena isn't whether it's flat or globe. You're observing shadows, right?
Right.
So you're trying to figure out the cause and effect of shadows on the ground. That's what you're trying to figure out the effect of.
Right.
Right, so you're trying to establish a cause and effect for shadows forming on the ground. And your independent variable, the thing that you will manipulate, your cause of shadows on the ground is what?
Would be like I said, the only reason I'm suggesting two possibilities is because the test could go two different ways.
That's not how science works. You have an independent variable, something you as a researcher manipulate and vary to cause the dependent variable to vary. And the dependent variable, what you're trying to establish is the cause and effect of the observed phenomena. Your observed phenomena being sticks in the ground, and we still haven't established what your independent variable is, the thing that you will vary and manipulate to cause the effect.
Well, I won't be able to vary it myself, but it will vary itself over time, and that'll be the time change.
Do you not understand what vary and manipulate as a researcher means?
Well, I'm saying, like, I will be able to measure it.
Do you understand what vary and manipulate as a researcher means? Just give me a yes or no answer.
Am I going to have something to manipulate? Yes, I will. I mean, the times that I take these measurements.
But time is a concept. You don't manipulate time. You're not a time lord. Yeah? The independent variable, right, has two properties it must satisfy. Number one, you must be able to manipulate it and vary it as a researcher. Number two, it is your presumed cause. Do you understand?
No, right, I do. I do now.
Right, but you can't vary the independent variable in this non-experiment. So this is now void. At this point...
Has the caller tried the Cavendish experiment?
Sorry, just before you... I just want to round this out. I no longer want to hear anything about this on account of the fact that you cannot formulate a valid scientific hypothesis with your sticks and shadows. This is not science. You said you didn't know if it was or it wasn't. Well, I'm now telling you it isn't. So please don't start talking about it again. Just to get that clear.
Sticks prove R and balls prove G, right?
No, but I was trying to. I mean, I didn't.
I know you were trying to formulate a scientific hypothesis because I asked you for your scientific evidence of R. You failed. I don't want to hear any more about it.
Can I jump in real
there's
quick?
Two other ways though too.
Can I jump in real quick, Nathan? Just
sure. Go ahead.
What's your name? Speaker.
Giordano.
Giordano. Are you new to this debate? Because you're bringing up something as if you have never even thought about this before.
Right. Well, I mean, I've seen it done. I saw the classic experiment. Which
I'm saying to you, on this debate.
He's getting a text while he's making his point.
Close the door, please.
That was Eleanor, right?
I'm not sure what that was.
Okay, so you're bringing up something on this debate that we have clearly discussed and addressed, and you're coming up to this debate as if you're bringing something new. It's not new what you're saying. What you're bringing to us is something.
I've seen it.
It doesn't matter what you've seen. We have discussed this and shown that you are basing your experiment or desire to do one upon the fact that you are trying to prove R, which means you already assume that there is an R. And your Al-Burundi reference earlier, we've talked about. Okay, if you watch the BBC video that I watched, it is evident from the get-go that he is measuring the size of the Earth, which is spherical. And then he measures the dip of the horizon, which is a loaded term, meaning that he's assuming there's a curve. And then he imagines...
What? I never got to get to...
No. And then he imagines extending the legs of his triangle to the center of the Earth. 3 times he is presupposing that he is on a sphere. Okay? That is what you are doing. You are starting with your conclusion.
Well, that's an assumption because you guys haven't let me finish the last part.
No. Listen to me. I'm sorry. I'm going to treat you like my 13-year-old. I'm going to say, you may not explain yourself because I know more than you. I am not going to let you run through your explanation.
So it's not correct that it will be inconclusive if it were flat with 3 objects?
Hold on,
Okay,
sorry.
let
me just address this with Giordano, because I've said this already, right? What we want is scientific evidence, and you haven't presented that. I've ripped it apart. Yeah? Didn't you understand when I ripped it apart what I'd done? Because I can do it again if you like.
What I don't understand is how this makes it invalid, because
it's not scientific. That's what makes it invalid. Okay? So don't tell me that it's scientific, or maybe you don't know, only for me to go through it, figure out that it's not scientific at all, and then say, well, do you think it's invalid?
Don't waste your time. They don't understand science.
Yeah, we do. Sorry.
Sorry.
Sorry, bear with me a second. Alan's just asserted that I don't understand science. So what part of the methodology that I went through, that would be the scientific method, was incorrect, Alan?
You get your scientific method from a fundamentalist Christian that believes Noah existed. You're an idiot.
That's not his scientific method. There is only one scientific method, the method of science, the methodology used to establish cause and effect relationships. So regardless of who told it me, it's not his method. So regardless of the credibility bash that you're now attempting on an individual who has told me while he talks all over me. Sad. So while you're not going to get to credibility. You're not going to get to bash someone's credibility who's told me about the scientific method. I asked you to point out where I was incorrect while I ripped apart Al-Burundi and his nonsense and the sticks and shadows.
Where is your scientific evidence method? Sorry, where is it from? Where are you citing it from? Just out of curiosity.
Just look it up if you like. Scientific method. Just type it into Google. Hold on. I asked Alan to point out where I was incorrect. So maybe Alan, if you'd like to tell me what I did wrong there, feel free.
You've been incorrect from show 1 to 3.
Sorry, not just assert that I am full stop incorrect. I've just gone through the scientific method with sticks and shadows.
That's not the scientific method.
Please tell me where I was incorrect in any of my assertions.
He's not going to satisfy you, Nathan. He's not going to give it to you.
No, he's just going to tell me I'm wrong, but I'm not wrong. This isn't science. What he's presented is a fairy tale that you all believe, which is why you want to challenging me on my understanding of science, right? If you had anything credible in terms of my actual analysis of whether or not this was scientific, you would have presented it rather than just saying I'm flat out wrong and always have been. You'd have something decent to offer.
It's not a scientific method. Where's it from?
Sorry, what have I done incorrect? You let me know.
No, answer my question.
No, I don't have to do anything. I can just laugh at you. Yeah, I've ripped it a new one. If you think I'm wrong, you feel free to tell me where I'm wrong. I'm not going to justify any of my understanding of the scientific method. If you think it's wrong, you tell me how it's wrong.
You don't justify any of your actions.
I don't need to. Yeah, if I'm wrong, believe me, people tell me pretty quickly. Yeah, there's a good couple of 100 people, 214 to be precise. And if I get something wrong, you can be damn sure they'll let me know. You're on the panel right now. I'm saying if I'm wrong, tell me how.
You are.
Well, that's not an argument. That's like, no. That's rubbish.
Where's it from?
Who cares? Where's it wrong? You tell me what's incorrect about it. Who cares where I got it from? If it's wrong,
well, Alan, you've made a claim.
Wrong.
You've made a claim, Alan. Come on, back it up.
I'm telling you, it's wrong.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's a crap assertion. So I'm going to say it's right, And do you want to tell me I'm wrong? Maybe that'll be a great point. Tell me I'm wrong again, because that's a wonderful winning argument there you got.
Well, you know, I believe the method that you...
Oh, it's about belief, is it? I don't care what you believe about the method. I want you to actually back up what you've said and show me where I'm wrong. When I ripped it a new one, your religious belief, that is. Your religious belief in sticks in the ground that make proof of art.
Belief on faith, Nathan, not evidence.
Yeah, you're taking R on faith. Faith in R to begin with. You take it on faith that there's an R when they measure R. They already know there's an R, and you take it on faith that there's an R when they measure R. That's affirming the consequent. It's a begging the question fallacy. It's nonsense. But, you know, you can tell me I don't understand science instead of accepting your belief in R.
I'm reading it too. That's not the scientific method. It doesn't say anything about having those specific variables and doing it that way. You can just conduct a hypothesis.
You told me to look it up. You told me to look it up on Google. I did. It's in the side chat.
Oh, take us through it. Take us through where I've got it wrong. Take me through it. Tell me where I've got it wrong. I'm not hearing anything.
It's in the side
chat. It says that.
So what do you want me to do, Woz? Do you want me to debunk my own argument, or are you going to do it? Seriously, Woz. You want me to go to your argument and pull it up, do you? Or are you going to go through it and actually try and debunk anything I've said? Still waiting.
Well,
we've had this assertion about 10 minutes ago. So far, we've had the scientific method that Woz has found on Google put in the side chat, and he's not actually presented any argument to debunk a single thing I've said.
You wanted me to look it up on Google. I did, and there it is.
Yeah, not so you can present it to me. I assert that I understand it already. If you want to assert that I've got something wrong, you tell me what I've got wrong.
Read it, mate. You read
it. I don't need to read it. You're asserting that I'm wrong. Unless you're just agreeing with me. You're just agreeing with me, Woz. Yeah, I agree with you, Nath. Here it is. Backs up every word you've said, like you've asserted. Or not. Is that not what you're saying? You're backing me up by putting it in the chat, are you?
Obstification.
Sorry, are you putting the scientific method in the chat to back me up or not?
You cut off when you talk over me. I can't hear you.
Are you putting the scientific method in the chat to back me up, to support my argument, or not?
No,
I'll go ahead and do it.
I'm not. Hang on, guys. You told me to look it up on Google. I did. I posted the link. So read it. I'm not.
No, we didn't
not saying.
post
Hang on. I'm not saying either way. What I'm doing. He told me to look it up. I looked it up, and there it is. Read it.
I don't need to read it. I don't need to. Thank you very much for finding it.
You don't need to.
You read it. Have you read it? Have you read it, Woz?
Of course you don't need to.
Have you read it?
No, you told me to look it up. I did.
Oh, right. If I tell you to go and get me a sandwich, will you walk into the sandwich shop and then leave the sandwich there, or will we actually go and buy a sandwich?
Woz.
Can I put poo in it?
We told you to look it up for you, not for us.
Yeah.
You didn't. You weren't specific. Is that how science works on a planet?
No,
okay,
you need to understand it, right? I've already asserted it without a thing in front of me. Now you're saying, here you go, I found it on Google. Right, yeah, I told you to go and look it up so you could understand it. Don't talk over me, Woz. Yeah? No need. No need to talk over me, Woz. No need. So, yeah, we've told you to look it up so you can go and educate. No need, Woz. No need. So you can go and educate yourself on the scientific method. Not so I can read it. Thanks all the same, though.
Woz.
Yes, Alan.
Isn't the one that Stunger uses mainly used for biological experiments?
Sorry, mate, I didn't hear that.
Isn't the scientific method that Stunger claims is the method for all science mainly used by biological experiments?
I'm not sure myself, Alan. I'm sorry.
You need to go and look that up.
Really? There's a lot of things people need to go and look up when you guys want to make an assertion. Yeah, like you can take a picture when Wiggles was here, yeah, on the last show. Yeah, you can do all sorts of things. You just need to go and do it. Oh, right. Well, what about you doing it? And then, like I've asked a few times, point out where I'm wrong. Still waiting. It's been, what, 15 minutes?
I'll point out where you're wrong. It's not a scientific method. It's mainly used for biological experiments. That's where you're wrong.
Oh, right. Okay, that's a lovely assertion. The scientific method is just a standard set method.
Nathan, you're getting your information from a fundamentalist Christian.
That doesn't invalidate the scientific method. And you still haven't pointed out a single thing that I've done in that methodology that was incorrect. You just keep asserting that I'm wrong and then trying to discredit the person that's told me about it. Like some pathetic straw man making argument that you guys do all the time. But there we go.
He believed Noah existed.
Sorry, him having explained the scientific method doesn't mean that I believe anything in the Bible suddenly. Yeah, that's a false equivalency. It's a straw man. I don't really know why you're doing this, Alan.
Not. Careful who you take advice off.
Sorry.
Yes, it is, Alan. Yes, it is.
It is just the scientific method. It doesn't matter who told me about it.
He told
Which
you
scientific method?
So I keep saying it doesn't matter who's told me about it, and your first word is he's done blah blah blah.
Alan, what is the scientific method?
Well, hang on. It is the scientific.
No, it's not.
It's in the side chat.
No, it's not. In the side chat.
Yes, I know.
Put the link in the side chat.
Yes, I know we've read it, but the problem is that you do have variables.
No.
Yes, you do. You have the independent variable, the dependent variable. You also have controlled variables.
It has nothing on that flowchart about variables.
Sorry, an independent variable is is the cause in your cause and effect relationship, right? In order to establish a scientific hypothesis, you need two things: an independent and a dependent variable. The independent variable is your presumed cause, and the dependent variable is your presumed effect. That's what a hypothesis is. When you move forward with that information, your presumed cause and effect for the observed phenomena, you can then start experimenting with
Alan,
your
I'm
hypothesis.
not a fundamentalist Christian by any means, and yet I understand the scientific method. Are my opinions invalid?
By Alan's standard, we should all be very careful of taking any type of advice from a faceless actor who's never actually identified themselves.
Hey, the boss.
What?
Good to have you.
Yeah, says a 40-year-old who delivers newspapers.
Alan, come on.
Back to Tom's. So, what we had now?
Alan,
15
tell us
minutes
your
with you
position
asserting that I'm
without any
wrong,
questions,
and just
tell
a
us
bit of
your
a dance
position.
in the meantime. No actual evidence to point out where I've gone wrong or what I've done wrong. Just going to assert it and then leave it hanging for 15 minutes, are you, Alan?
Yeah, he is. He's not gonna stand up to the plate.
Posted the correct method for you. Well,
Yes, but I've also posted the correct method in the side chat too, which also includes the variables.
No,
of course it includes
Oh,
variables.
we've got 2 correct methods or 3 correct methods.
You've got to have variables. That's your hypothesis.
How many correct
Scientific
methods have we got?
hypothesis is a very special kind of prediction. Yeah, it predicts the cause and effect with an independent and a dependent variable. That's a hypothesis, and it will be.
Where's the variables on that, Ranty?
Sorry, that's a hypothesis. Do you want to challenge that and show me where a scientific hypothesis has no variables? Do you want to show me that, please, Alan?
You know, Nathan, I just want to see how this one's supposed to work.
Shut up. Can you show me a scientific hypothesis that doesn't have variables in it, please, Alan?
Does it need 2? Every experiment?
Every experiment, right, is the expression of a hypothesis. A hypothesis is the expression of your cause and effect relationship. Going forward, you will experiment to establish if your independent variable, the presumed cause, does have the effect on the dependent variable that you predicted in your scientific hypothesis.
Do you agree with that, Alan?
No.
Okay,
why not?
What's wrong?
Silence.
Alan agrees or disagrees with anything that's actually information related.
No, it's just wrong and ignorant.
There's 3 variables.
3 variables,
There's an independent, a dependent, and a controlled, right? Is that right?
So a control that's being varied, is it?
Can you share my screen?
I'm just reading through this doohickey, and it says
is a control being varied?
Pardon?
It's
got
control,
independent, dependent, and controlled.
So is the control a control variable?
Yeah, that's what it says.
That's the 3 different variables.
What are you frightened of, Alan? Come on.
Not frightened of anything. I just don't take advice off fundamental Christians.
Sorry, back to your ad homs. Yeah, you don't seem to be actually addressing any issues or pointing out any flaws in any of the statements I've made. You're just attacking a man who has passed on some information, attacking essentially a messenger.
And is the information correct?
Yes.
What does he call pseudosciences, Nathan? Remind me again.
Sorry, anything that falls outside the boundary of cause and effect relationships would be classed as pseudoscience. For example, but not limited to, astronomy. That would be a pseudoscience. Sorry, why are you laughing?
You idiot.
Sorry.
Who's an idiot?
Why are you laughing and calling me an idiot exactly?
Oh.
Any rebuttal in these size, Alan?
Unbelievable.
So
Just unbelievable.
can't
Is
be
that your
considered
rebuttal?
experiment.
Sorry, just want to classify that is the worst rebuttal I've ever heard, Alan. Any actual rebuttal?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Same rebuttal again. Wow, doubling down on that crap rebuttal, are you? You have nothing, Alan. You are an embarrassment to your peers.
Do you want to share my screen, Nathan?
Sure.
To show people what the scientific method is.
Definition of pseudoscience: collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on the scientific method. Definition of astronomy: the branch of science that deals with celestial object, space, and physical universe as a whole. What part of that sounds like pseudoscience to you?
You tell me how you can independently control a variable with astronomy. You tell me
Astronomy
how you
is
can.
not
Sorry,
about
did you understand my
experiments,
question?
it's about
Just hold on.
observation.
Just don't talk. Just explain or
Is that Rich,
acknowledge.
the mic thing? Wow.
Acknowledge that you've understood my question. Can you control independent variables when studying the lights in the sky?
It's not about experiments. It's about
Sorry, the scientific method is absolutely about experimentation. You formulate a hypothesis which is to be expressed as an experiment. That is how you establish cause and effect relationships with experimentation. If it falls outside the boundary of that, it becomes pseudoscience. Do you understand?
So then what do we do with observations that we make?
Observations are just observations. Predictions are just predictions. Mystic Meg can predict things. Yeah? There's a very special type of prediction called a scientific hypothesis. It establishes a cause and effect.
Do observations prove anything then?
No, observations are just observations.
Yeah, but do they prove
observations
anything?
do prove things.
Observations are not scientific. They don't establish cause and effect. Just
But do
looking
they
at something
prove anything?
doesn't establish cause and effect. In order to do that, you would need an independent variable, your presumed cause of the effect, and the dependent variable, your presumed outcome.
It's a simple yes/no answer. Do observations prove anything?
Yes.
No, they're not
Yes,
scientific.
no.
Not
I don't.
scientifically.
They
Yeah,
do.
not
Observations do prove things.
Wait.
Sorry.
Nathan says they don't.
So
Scientifically.
if observations don't prove anything, why is Ranty wasting his time?
my bloody point.
Scientifically,
For
are
fuck's sake.
you guys deaf? Do you not hear me asking for scientific evidence?
Observations.
Yeah, I'm not
scientific-
asking for observational evidence. Okay? Open your ears and listen to the words that I ask for. The whole body of science backs the globe assertion. That is why I ask you for your standard of evidence. That would be scientific evidence. Okay?
So if observations aren't proof of anything, everything observed on the flat Earth isn't proof of a flat Earth.
Sorry, scientific. You seem to want to exclude this word even after I've laboured the point and spoke really slowly.
I
Your
don't-
standard...
scientific
Oh, I
proof
haven't
of a flat
finished.
Earth.
You don't understand, so I'm having to explain it twice. Your standard, the globe standard, is the assertion that the whole body of, guess what? Science backs the assertion that you're on a sphere. Therefore, when I ask you to prove the sphere, the standard is set by you. Scientific evidence, please.
I still don't understand how what I've given you wasn't scientific.
Oh, right, that's because you didn't have an independent variable that you could manipulate as a researcher.
I did give that to you.
What
I gave you
was
several.
your independent variable?
There were
Observations, mate.
the size of the objects and the times.
Sorry, and you can manipulate that, can you?
You can manipulate the size and you can manipulate the distances, yes.
Sorry, how are you manipulating the size?
You buy a stick at a certain size. It sounds funny, but it sounds correct also.
Yeah, it sounds very scientific.
As scientific as I'm reading,
You are
there's a thing called
establishing the cause and effect of shadows in the ground. Yeah? You're not establishing you're measuring shadows. That's your observed phenomena. Your presumed cause is length of stick now, apparently. So there you go.
And it is.
Presumed cause, if you were to experiment, would be length of stick causes shadow. There you go. You happy with that? Sorry, where'd you get to R from this? Absolute
you know that doesn't make sense.
Garbage. Where'd you get R from that? Because you're
R
establishing
from the
a cause and
angle
effect
of the
relationship for shadows. That's what you're doing if you want to claim
And the reason
science.
you use 3
So well done,
is
you've
to
proved the
isolate.
cause of shadows. Well done. It's length of stick, apparently, according to you.
Length of
Hey,
stick,
Nathan.
distance, and time.
Nathan, can I make a little request that you name this particular hangout observations aren't real?
Say again, observations aren't what?
Nathan
Aren't real.
Oakley is retarded.
You said observations aren't real earlier.
No, I didn't.
Aren't proof. Sorry, aren't proof. My bad. You said observations.
No, I didn't
aren't
say that
proof.
either. You said that.
That's
I
scientific
said.
proof.
I then went through it at nausea, really slowly speaking, saying your standard of evidence, the standard I am asking for from you, is not observation-based evidence. It is scientific evidence that I am asking for from you because, apparently, according to everybody everywhere, we live on a sphere. And how do we know? Because science says so, right? So that's your standard for your proof when you present it, not mine.
Why do you make us adhere to our standards when you just don't believe it anyway? What's the point of us
I
doing
haven't
that?
disbelieved anything. You just haven't
we have to
formulated
prove
a
it by
scientific
your
hypothesis
standards.
for any of your evidence. So I haven't disbelieved things. I've explained where it's not a scientific evidence of anything. And then you guys go, well,
According to
can't we
you.
just use observations? Doesn't matter that science backs us. We haven't actually got science to back us, right? So
Are
you haven't
using
actually
our
got...
are you using our scientific evidence method? Sorry, are you using our scientific method, or are you?
Ours?
What are you doing?
What do you mean ours? Nobody owns the scientific method. It's not a global method. It's just a method.
you're gonna be semantic.
Anybody can
All right,
apply the
all
scientific method. Yeah, you guys fail to, even though it's your standard, apparently.
You guys need to...
So it's kind of beyond me why you would want to ignore the own standard that you have laid down to the world as the justification for being on a sphere. You're backed by science.
You don't have to be a drama queen about it. I was just asking. You want us to prove with our scientific method, which you are citing, is ours.
It's not yours. Anybody can do the scientific method. Why do you keep saying this? I don't get it. You know, science can be applied by anybody. Anybody can be a quote-unquote scientist. You guys think that the body of science is men in white coats who tell you things based on observation rather than science. But they're scientists, so they must be right based on observation. Well, hold on. Why aren't you presenting science? Isn't that what backs you? Why is it that you say, I don't know, it might be science? Then when we look at it, it's not science, and you go, well, why can't you accept an observational proof? That makes no sense to me when you're apparently backed by science.
You are aware that other scientists do have to confirm other scientists' work, right?
Oh, so peer
So it's not
review,
just,
so
it's not
consensus.
just one person that says, oh, this is what I found, this is
I don't
right.
give a crap if 25,000 men say the same thing to me. If it's not scientifically valid, it's just the opinion of 25,000 men. It doesn't mean anything scientifically if you all pat each other on the back and say, you're right, you know, you're right. Yeah, you're right. I've double checked it. Yeah, I've checked it too. It's right. It's right. It's right. Everybody thinks they're on a globe at the moment. Doesn't make everybody
25.
right. The Earth's obviously
not
and observably
opinionated.
flat. Peer review doesn't come into it. There's nothing in the scientific method about showing it to your mate. Nothing about it at all. Systematic experimentation. That's what's in the scientific method. Repeated experiments, not repeated back scratching and agreement from others.
But aren't I trying to do it?
Where's your proof? Where's your proof they scratch each other's back? Where's your evidence for
Peer
that?
review.
Come on.
He brought it up. Why are you asking
Peer
me?
review. So
Yeah.
you automatically assume peer review is automatically making that assumption that they scratch each other's back.
Yeah, but they're not validating anything with experimentation now, are they?
Yes,
They're looking at the work and then verbally saying to the other one, yeah, it's right or wrong. That's not an experiment. That's not a repeat of an expression of a hypothesis.
Have you ever done a peer review?
Meaningless opinion of men scratching each other's back.
You are aware that there have been scientists who have been wrong and been corrected by this peer review.
Right. So
that you
what?
are saying that
If they'd have done experiments, we could have systematically experimented and repeated the experiments and expressed the hypothesis over and over again with systematic experimentation. But unfortunately, men get stuff wrong. And even men who agree with them in peer review might also get it wrong. That's why we have the scientific method. So we're not relying on men scratching each other's backs.
You're not.
That's why they have multiple people review it.
Doesn't matter how many people review it. It's not systematic experimentation. That's what you need to satisfy the scientific method. You formulate a hypothesis, you test it. If you establish that the cause that you assume is your cause is actually the cause because you managed to manipulate the dependent variable with your isolated independent variable, then you can say, voila, here is my scientific evidence of X. And that's it. You've established a cause and effect. You can present it to others and they can go and repeat the experiment to establish if they get the same effect or not. There is absolutely nothing in that process that involves men talking to each other. Nothing at all. So it makes no difference what you say about how many men scratch each other's back or whether or not they've spotted errors. Who cares?
It's funny to hear someone who thinks they're so right and they're so wrong.
Oh, really? So you think peer review makes everything okay, right?
Have you done it?
What peer review?
Have you ever done it, like with whatever you're an expert in, your
I'm not
field
an expert
of
in
expertise?
anything. What are you
He's a
talking about?
drama student.
I am a performing arts. I'm not a student. That would be ludicrous. That was about 25 years ago.
You're a qualified actor.
Oh.
Are you a qualified actor, Nathan?
I don't hold a guild card. You don't need to. You can be an actor. Anybody can go and be an actor. Like anybody can be a scientist. It used to be the case that you had to have a guild card. Now you don't. So anybody can do anything in terms of acting.
Are you a good actor? Would you consider yourself a good actor?
Fucking awesome.
Yeah, look at all these shows that he's acting now.
What's this got to do with your assumed value of R, your begging the question of 7.6R, your perspective denial, your zero scientific proof of anything? What's this got to do with anything?
Who's denying perspective here?
You.
Oh, it's his whole thing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, your mathematics don't account for an angular size reduction at distance, so you deny perspective if you're a globehead who's ever used the mathematics that they present. Yeah, you.
No, you are completely wrong. You do not need to account for perspective when...
Yeah, you do. We see perspective in every single photograph, every single videotape, every single time you open your eyes and look at anything ever if you have the power of sight. So to assert that we don't need to account for perspective, sir, is absolutely preposterous.
You want to know what, though? The amount that an object is hidden over the horizon does not change based on how much you zoom in. So you do not need to account for perspective.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Well, that's just not even an argument. Saying that you don't when we all encounter perspective is ludicrous. We encounter perspective and capture it every single time we photograph anything. The calculations aren't performing viewing functionality. They only take a single line to the target. They do not have the facility to calculate an angle. And that's what you would need. 2 lines to any target in the picture that you are analysing. They don't have that. You have a single line between target and observer, viewed inside elevation orthographically with the exclusion of perspective. It's outrageous.
Side view, not orthographic.
It is an orthographic view. Alan just doesn't know what he's talking about. So orthographic view excludes perspective, and that's precisely what we are presented with in the mathematics. The mathematics are just mathematics. They don't actually have a view in them at all. They're just numbers, Alan. Don't be a retard.
Will you help me out then, Nathan? Because I'm really trying to help people figure this out. And I really, before I came on the show this morning, I thought that was a sound way to measure that. And I had the other 2 methods to go against it as well to make sure that they all bounced, and got around the same number. But
sorry, are you now talking about sticks in the ground? Are you now talking about sticks in the ground? Something I've specifically told you don't bring up again. I've already ripped this a new one based on the fact it has absolutely no scientific backing whatsoever. Is that what you're trying to now bring up again?
Though.
Is that what you're trying to bring up?
To mention
Sticks and Shadows
live stream that was yesterday.
Sorry,
the first to mention that.
Is that what you're bringing up? Boss, hold on.
Yeah,
is that what you're trying to bring up?
Sly's live stream yesterday.
Am I going to get an answer? Were you trying to bring up sticks and shadows?
Well, I was just bringing up the 3 methods. That was one of them, but I don't. I'm talking about sticks, but there's 2 others where you don't have to worry about sticks. The goal was to do all 3 of them and see if we got the same number. Just about.
Well, we've got to 1, and it didn't have. What do you mean we were trying to get to the same number? So what you're saying is all 3 of them presuppose are. So hold on, all 3 of them are measuring spheres, right?
No, they would know. We would know if it was not. That's why we're using 3 sticks, and that's
by
why
saying we would know if it was not. By saying we would know if. Hold on. By saying we would know if it was not, are you saying we already know it's a sphere?
No.
So you're not measuring something that you already know is a sphere. So if we go through this now, if I keep this hangout going, we won't find along this path that you've begged the question and assumed it's a sphere at any stage. You're going to assert that now?
No.
No?
Yeah, no. The whole point of isolating it and using 3 sticks is to hopefully see if that would be the case. Because if it was non-conclusive, then we can say it's definitely not a sphere and we would drop it. But we have to keep it open to see if it is, or keep it open to see if it's flat. But the whole point of using 3 is that you would get a non-conclusive answer if it were flat. And so once that happened, we'd be like, okay, now we'll have to do something else and test it. But that's the whole point of when I was reading the scientific method. It fits in there. You make an assumption based off of your observations.
That's not the scientific method. I don't know where you've got that crap from. No, you watch, you see, you observe a phenomena. Yeah, not make an assumption. Yeah, not beg the question, not presuppose your outcome, not assume you're on a sphere. That's not the scientific method. Observe a phenomena. That's what you do first.
And people have observed the Earth as a sphere.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
Who? Anybody on the panel, raise your hands if you've observed the Earth as a sphere.
I have.
Who has?
Me.
Who's me?
Who?
Boss.
The boss? Excellent. When did you go to space?
You've seen it as a sphere.
Hold on. When did you go to space?
Oh, you don't need to go to space.
To observe the Earth as a sphere, you don't need to go to space.
That is correct. You do not need to go to space to observe Earth's curvature.
Sorry, we didn't ask to observe Earth's curvature, something we unequivocally do not ever observe ever. We asked how you would see the Earth as a sphere. Hold on. We asked Earth as a sphere. Yeah? Now you're saying Earth's curvature.
You do not need to go to space to observe the fact that the Earth has a spherical shape.
Where'd you go then?
Doesn't have a spherical shape. Show me one example of that.
It does. I observed it with my own eyes.
Where? Show me.
Oh, I wish I would have taken a picture, but my phone...
Oh, right. A bit like Wiggles. Oh, it's such a shame you have absolutely no evidence whatsoever to back your assertion. You feel free to assert it like it's true.
Hands up those who have seen the flat Earth.
Yeah, every single time I look at any picture ever that you guys deny perspective, I see a flat plane, because there's never any account made for perspective by you guys. So all we see is the inverse square law in action, nothing else. So yeah, I would say every photograph of anything accounts for perspective, and anything at a long distance, mainly the ones that we've had on this show, all show the flat plane. And yeah, I'd like to see any Globers come on and compare anything that they've got to any of the photographs that we've presented. We're going to start ripping them apart. We started doing it on the last show with Red's Rhetoric. You know, this guy's an idiot. They don't apply perspective because they're perspective deniers. And you don't apply perspective because that's where you've engineered false curvature. It's a complete nonsense. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully for sharing this debate. And, of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider liking it and sharing it, or subscribing if you have not done so already. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!